Hey, this is JC and welcome to Small Brick City, where we want to help you realize your dream of building a Lego city regardless of the space you have. And one of the best ways to save space and to add visual variety and texture to a Lego city is with tiny modular buildings. And I finally completed my last and final modular building for this set. And this is the brand new camera shop, toy workshop, and psychiatrist office. This completes my planned series of 4 modulars because right now all 4 modulars take up a footprint space of 32 studs by 32 studs, and that is the size of a regular expert modular building. But as you can see, they're all individual builds, but you could technically place them together, and the way I designed it, you can place them together as one building, because there are now 2 corner builds. This new build, the camera shop, is a corner build, and a mirror image of the corner build is this ice cream parlor as well as a pastry school on top. For the 2 inset buildings, we have my butcher shop and art gallery, and over here was the very first one I tackled, which is a bookshop and apartment. I did make some changes to this particular butcher shop. I've actually made it shorter. Originally it was higher by 2 studs, but I felt when I placed them together to form a set, it didn't look too good, it being so high. So I've actually reduced the height so that it's on par with the rest of the builds, and I've also made improvements to the elevator system behind. If you're interested to check out the videos for these 3 modular buildings, they're already up and you can check out the links in the description. I'll show you all 4 modulars as one set from different directions, but first let's have a closer look at this brand new tiny corner modular. Personally, I'm really happy with how this build turned out. In fact, I think this is my favorite tiny modular building of the 4. I chose a different color palette for this particular building. It's darker on the first 2 floors with the brown and the dark gray. I kept the top floor white just so that there's contrast and it doesn't look like such a gloomy building. And this is in contrast with my other buildings where the first 2 floors tended to be brighter colors or white. This is a corner build, and I took advantage of the fact with a corner build you have 2 sides which are adjacent to each other, they are facing front, and you need organic flow from the front and the side of the building. So this is a camera store for the first floor. There's a brick built camera which I'm really happy with, and I'll show you closer details in just a bit. The main door is in front as with any building, but the back door is actually a side door, and that's this one right over here. And that's the thing with the corner build, you can have a side door instead of a back door. For inset buildings, you generally need a door in front, and the back door will be at the back because the building is basically sandwiched between other buildings. Over here, there's another door. As you can see, this is actually the elevator, and that's why you have the elevator button as well, which obviously is malfunctioning at the moment. But with this elevator, you can access these upper floors, and the way it's designed, the elevator door is here, but to get to the next floor, the elevator door is adjacent. So that's pretty interesting in terms of the design. And this is different from the previous elevator I built for the butcher shop and art gallery, where the elevator door was on the inside of the building. Around the front and the sides, notice the ledges I've added to these 2nd and 3rd floors. I think it adds nice texture, and there's this continuity around the corner, again taking advantage of the fact that it is a corner build. Lots of windows on both sides, and what I did was kind of a mirror image for each floor. You can see that the placement of the windows are basically in the same position, but they're of different colors and also of different styles in terms of how they're designed. So I think there is symmetry in the design, but at the same time there is a difference in the look, so it doesn't look so uniform and boring. For the front, these 2 panels mirror each other because they're both grills, but the top floor, because it's a contrasting color, I figured I can go completely different in terms of the look as well. And I went with this combination of an arch, some snot techniques with these modified bricks and tiles, more snot techniques here just for a very different look. And I'm pretty happy with the roof design in this case. I used a combination of modified bricks with wedge pieces, as well as some tiles to angle them, and for the front they're even round studs to create little columns. And overall I think it gives a very textured look all around. On this side, I didn't use round studs, mainly because I ran out of them, but I thought it would be quite cool to use these log bricks in gray, and it actually gives good texture. So I felt that eventually the decision to have a bit of a difference for the front and the side was actually okay, and this looks really nice. I think it's reminiscent of the brick bank, although if you compare the two side by side, they're quite different. And if we come round to the back, you would see the elevator. This is the elevator shaft, and this is my design for a manual lift. So there's no motors or anything, you just raise it up and down this way. I've actually changed the design for my elevator shaft, and it actually stops just at the 3rd floor because there's really no need for the slots to go all the way to the top. So I've stopped it here, and basically once you reach the top floor, it's just at the right height. One thing I did here, which I think it's pretty nice, is to disguise or camouflage the elevator knob. And I've actually designed it to be sort of a gas meter here, and that's how it looks like. And that goes all the way down to the ground, and if you're to look at it from the ground level, it looks like just a gas meter if you're walking around. Of course, you have to suspend your disbelief and just ignore the slot here. Over on this side, it's pretty straightforward and plain. For the top floor, to save bricks, I used these panel pieces. Typically, you would reverse the panel pieces so that these insets would be on the other side to give you more space for the interior. But it didn't look good that way, and I didn't need the extra space, so I flipped them around so it looks like this. But of course, if you're to build this, you could easily just use regular bricks if you like. Alright, let's have a closer look at the ground floor as well as that brick-built camera sign. If you've followed my channel for some time, you know I'm a big fan of 3D brick-built signs for Lego cities. I got the inspiration for this build from the cover of a creator box, one of those sets where you get random parts but they give you ideas of what you can build, and they had a bigger version of this camera, but I took the basic idea and I scaled it down to fit the store, and I'm really happy with how it's turned out. It's an old-fashioned camera, but it's highly detailed and textured. I built it on the inside of the ledge, or kind of integrated into the ledge, so there are tiles on top and plates below, so it's really secure on. It's not just held on by brackets. The detail itself, I think, is pretty exquisite. We've got the lens here. There's even the glass lens made from a glass bell cover, a camera grip, an light indicator, a viewfinder, the flash, and of course I guess the shutter switch. Overall, I think this looks pretty good because in the concept of my store, it does sell cameras, but it does sell second-hand equipment as well. And I have seen some of these camera stores where they've got a whole collection of cameras, not just the new cameras on the market, but a lot of second-hand and older cameras. So I thought this older style camera fit the overall design of the building, and also just the whole feel of my old city charm for my custom Lego city. If we come around here, there's a CCTV camera. I guess it's to check out who's going up and down the elevator as well through the side door to protect stuff. I'm not sure why there's no camera for the front door, but I guess maybe that's because the storekeeper can see it. And of course, very high-tech because it's running on VHS tape. Here's a top view of the first floor. This is the main entrance here from the sidewalk. And once you come in, you'd see some displays. There's a counter over here, a store attendant here, and this is the elevator. And let me give you a closer look on the inside of the store first. And here we have the display for the cameras. As you'd expect in any camera shop, you want some kind of display where you see all different cameras and accessories. And I'll take that out in just a bit because it's just placed on jumper plates, so it's pretty easy to take out. I've got a customer looking at the cameras. And over here we have a counter with a camera on the counter. That's the store attendant. Behind him we've got more accessories in a display case, probably more expensive equipment, and we have a computer. Let me take this out. As I said, this is placed on a single stud, so it's easy to pop out like that. And what I did was to put together a display shelf, a unit with many different cameras. So this is almost like a professional style camera. We've got a smaller camera here, and this camera with a nice big flash. And I've actually built these cameras quite some time ago, so these are new builds. I designed this a long time ago. I just designed a collection of different cameras because I thought it was pretty cute. And these are camera flashes, and here we've just got boxes of accessories, or maybe boxes for the cameras. And let's have a look at the counter over here. This can also be removed because I placed it on a jumper plate. And over here it's very simple. It's a very straightforward modern looking counter with some transparent bricks here. And on the counter we have a camera. And for this camera, what I did was I placed a jumper plate here to just keep it on. And here's another design for a camera. Looks like a camera grip here, a long lens, and a flash, and that goes on here. And there we have a cash register as well. On the back over here, I can take out that display case, but it's actually on a regular towel, and there are 4 studs for legs. But basically what's inside are more accessories. There's another flash, and over here we've got another camera. And the way I held the camera in place, it's very simple. There's a jumper plate on top over here, and this is a modified plate with a clip, and the camera part has a little handle that goes on. So it's a nice way to display the camera without it falling over. And there we have another flash unit inside on display. And finally, just to round up the design, I have a computer for the storekeeper to check stock. And this is the minifig I decided for the store. Just some guy who looks like he's really competent in working with cameras. Before we go to the next floor, I'd just like to show you the elevator shaft and the elevator. This elevator is really just a platform. For this size building, we don't have space to build a complete enclosed elevator, so this is my approach. It's a bit different in design from the other elevator platforms I've designed, simply because of the direction of how this knob is coming out. And in this case, I didn't use a Technic cross pin. I used a 1x1 modified brick with a stud. I used a bar element, a brick element, just to hold everything in place, and this goes in the slot. So that round brick actually works quite well because there's very little friction, but it's quite supported. And what's important, anytime you build something like that with a handle, you want something that overlaps to hold everything in place. So I use this 1x3 curved tile piece, and it really holds everything in place. So when I hold this 1x1 modified brick doesn't break away from this entire assembled unit. And the reason I have only one panel on this side is because minifigs will enter the elevator from this side and they'll exit on that side, and that's why I didn't put this 90-degree corner piece. In fact, instead I just put this flat towel. This second floor is pretty interesting, and a shout out to subscriber Darif's Dojo, who suggested what the concept of this floor should be. And it is a toy workshop, but not any toy workshop. It's an abandoned toy workshop, and that's why there are cobwebs and spider webs all around, and there's even a spider who's made his home here. The concept is the owner of this toy workshop has mysteriously vanished. We're not sure what has happened to him, but he hasn't come to his workshop for a very long time, which is why there are cobwebs. But let me remove these spider webs as they're held together by clips, and I'll take them out so that you can have a clearer view of what we've done on the inside. So this is a toy workshop. It's not a store, and that's why there's no signage on the outside, and you would have no idea that there's a toy workshop here. Here's the elevator shaft and the entrance to the toy workshop. And you can see it's cluttered with all kinds of toys that the toy maker has put together. There's a nice space sign flag here. There's a robot in a box. This is a workbench with a vise, and you can see some material. He's built a house, or in the middle of building a house. There's a teddy bear. There's a computer, which I'll get to in just a bit. And then there's another display shelf with all kinds of different toys. This computer is pretty old looking, so maybe he's been gone for a while, or maybe he hasn't just upgraded his computer. By the way the toy maker makes his money is he makes the toys and he sells them online, and that's why he has the computer. Let me know in the comments what you think happened to the toy owner, and hopefully we can unravel this mystery. Before we have a look inside to the interior of the third floor, here's another closer look at the roof. from all directions. You can see the ornate design just to give it very nice visual texture. I didn't place an air conditioning compressor on top. Instead, I changed things around and put this electrical box. Jacob from Brick Bakery suggested sloped roofs. And let me tell you what happened. I told him that I would try to do a sloped roof for this particular build. And this is what happened. I built the first 3 floors of this building, and then I came to the roof, and then I remembered it's supposed to be sloped. And I did try it out, but no design worked with the design of this build, because I didn't design it to have a sloped roof. I designed it with a flat roof in mind. That's why when it came to this particular roof to add it onto this design, a sloped roof didn't work. So sorry Jacob, this is still a flat roof, and as you know, it's good for superheroes to climb on and jump from building to building. Let's remove the roof and we can see inside to this floor. The concept of this 3rd level is a psychiatrist's office. And if you watch my video on 3 reasons to build a Lego city, you might recognize this shrink. His specialty is to counsel people who have a Lego problem. Yes, that refers to you. If you spend too much money on Lego or too much time on Lego, you need to visit him. This is the main entrance from the elevator. You can see the buttons for the elevator there. And once you come in, you see a bust of a very famous psychologist. And this is Brickman Freud. That's right, an idol of this particular psychiatrist. And you'd see some pictures on the wall. And over here is his desk. That's a folder of all his different patients. And there's a computer and a coffee mug, and of course, very important for any psychiatrist's office, a clock, because he charges by the time. And we've got a patient on a couch, and over here we have the psychiatrist. I can tell you he's not really good at his job, because he's here, he's supposed to be taking notes and listening to the Lego fans problem, but all he's doing is watching the latest episode of Ninjago. So go figure. And that's why you should never spend money on a shrink. Instead, spend it on Lego. Here's a look at all 4 modulars placed together. When I originally designed the tiny modular, they were to be used as buffer buildings between modular buildings and to fill small spaces in my Lego city. And that's how I'm going to use these builds as well. They're probably not going to end up together like this. But should you decide to build this and want to put them together, you can see it works really well. Lots of texture. Many different front facades and businesses with different 3D signs, making this look just so busy and so interesting for a single build within a standard base plate. Here we have the ice cream parlor, and that's the entrance going up to the seating area, and that's the pastry school. The back of the builds placed together also look very interesting and very realistic. Here we have the back door of the ice cream parlor, and that comes up to the back of this particular butcher shop, and that's the lift design. And I changed the design slightly as well. As you can see, it stops here at the 3rd floor as well, and all this is sealed up, so that's an improvement on the build. Over here we have the bookstore, and this is the back of the bookstore where the bookstore owner has this little garden, and I like the recessed look between these 2 buildings. It looks like she has her own little private backyard, so it looks really cozy and nice. And over here is the build that you've seen in this video, the camera store and the psychiatrist's office. Let me know what you think of these builds, and do you have a favorite? Do you like the camera store with the psychiatrist's office, the bookstore apartment, the butcher shop with the art gallery, or the ice cream parlor and the pastry school? Let me know which is your favorite in the comments. And for those of you who requested building instructions for these builds, I'm happy to let you know that we're working on the building instructions for all the improved and upgraded designs for all 4 buildings, and hopefully this will be up by the beginning of March 2019, and they'll be available as individual building instructions or as a package, and all this can be found on smallbrickcity.com/shop. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.